Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are joining the section from. Now, thank you so much for joining this section on developing interactive dashboard using Power BI. Now, before I dive into what we have for today, I would like to introduce myself and then we can dive into the demo. Now, my name is Thomas Festus Cudjoe. I'm a Microsoft certified trainer and also a Microsoft certified data analyst. Professionally, I'm a chartered accountant with qualifications from Institute of Chartered Accountant Ghana and Chartered Institute of Management Accountant UK. Now, I'm the lead trainer at Festman Learning Hub, where we provide digital skills training in data science, data analytics, financial modeling, UX design, and digital marketing. Now, in this section, we are going to look at how we can pick raw data, analyze it, and visualize it using Power BI to develop interactive dashboard. Now, you would agree with me that the data most companies are having at their disposal is increasing rapidly. Now, because of this, most companies are looking for professionals who can help them to analyze those data to generate business insights to support their business decisions. Now, one of the key tools most of these companies are using to mine and then analyze their data is Power BI. For example, where I work, I use Power BI extensively for financial reporting, data analytics, and dashboard designing. So in this demo, I will show you how you'll be able to pick raw data and then bring it into Power BI. And then you'll be able to analyze it and visualize it to develop compelling dashboard, which you can share with management or your key stakeholders. So before I dive into it, let me show you a sample of the dashboard that we are going to build together. And I believe this is going to get you excited. So now this is the dashboard that we are going to build together. So here we are going to work with a raw data set, which we are going to import into Power BI. And then by the end of the demo, you will learn how you'll be able to put this together. So let me take you through how this dashboard works. So here we have our total booking based on the data. Then we have our total booking amount, then the average rating, then the total customers. Now this, we also have our customers based on the destinations. And then we also have where customers are coming from. And then we also have the customers by gender. So I'm going to take you through the data itself so you'll be able to understand this. Then here we also have our total booking by year. So here you'll be able to see the trend at which our total booking is changing. Then we also have profits by year. And then we also have hotel names, their total booking, and their total booking amount, as well as their average user rating. So let's take a look at the data that we are going to work with. So this, we have booking ID. So this is about hotel bookings. So there's a company that has a platform where people book hotels. So here for each of the bookings, we have the booking ID, the date of the booking, the year, the time, the customer ID, the gender, the age, the origin of the customer. Then we also have the state, then the location itself. Then we also have destination countries. So this has to do with where the customers are traveling to. Then we have the destination city. Then the number of people that they are traveling with, the time or the date that they checked in, number of days, the checkout date, the number of rooms they booked, then the name of the hotel that they booked. And then at the end of their stay in the hotel, they leave a rating. So for each of the hotels, we have their rating. Then we also have the payment mode. So when they click on the drop down, they can pay via credit card, debit card, internet banking, or wallet. Then we also have the bank name, then the booking price, how much they paid for the booking, then the discount that they received, the tax that they paid on the transaction. Then we also have the profit margin, and here these are calculations that we did manually. So this is not part of the data itself. So now when you go to the dashboard, here we are looking at the destination where the customers are traveling to, how many of the customers are traveling to this country. So here we're able to identify our top destination countries for customers. Then we're also looking at where the customers are coming from. So here we have been able to determine the top origin countries for our customers. Then out of our customers, we want to know how many of them are males, how many of them are females. So we also have it here. And here we are providing a summary of each of the hotel's performance. So we have the hotel name, how many bookings have they received, how much have they also received in terms of amount. Then we're also looking at the average rating. So here we also have these slices. If I want to filter this by maybe males, this is going to get filtered. If I want to filter by females, so that everything changes and the transactions are going to be related to my selection from the slicer. So it means that everything that you are seeing here relate to female customers. So you can see that for the males, our top destination countries are different and when we are looking at females. Okay, now with this, I'm going to clear out the filters. Then you can also filter by destination city. So here we also have this drop down, which you can also click on if you want to see the performance for a specific destination city. You can also select it from the slicer. Then you also have this year slicer here. So the transaction is from 2010 to 2019. If maybe I want to see the transaction in one specific year, I can use this slider and I'll be able to filter the data to show me the transaction for this particular year. If I also want to show the transaction within a range from 2014 to 2017, I can also make my selection and everything is going to get filtered. So I'm going to show you how you'll be able to develop this in this demo. So the first thing I'm going to do is to open a new Power BI file. So I'll go to File and then here I'm going to click New. And now we have a new Power BI file which we are going to use for this demo. So first, let's take a look at the raw data. So when I come here, I have the data here. So here we have this hotel booking Excel workbook. Now if you take a look at this, we just have one sheet in this book. Now here, let me resize this. So we have the year. Let me scroll to the side. So we have the booking ID for each of the booking transactions. Then we also have the date of the booking. Then we have the year based on the data that we have here. Then we also have the time, the customer. So each of the customers is having an ID. So you have the customer's ID. Then the gender of the customer, the age, the origin country where the customer is coming from, the state of that country, then the specific location of the customer. Then we also have the destination country, which has to do with where the customers are traveling to. Then destination city, the specific city that they are traveling to. Then we also have number of people that they are traveling with, the check-in date, number of days that they spend in the hotel, then the check-out. Then we have the number of rooms that they booked, then the name of the hotel, then the hotel rating after their stay. Then we have the payment mode, and then the bank that they use to make the payment. They also have the pricing, and then the discount, and then the tax, as well as the profit margin. So that's what we are going to import into Power BI and then analyze it and visualize it to develop our dashboard. So let's go back to Power BI. So here on the Home tab, you'll be able to connect to so many data sources. So the data might not be Excel workbook. It might be a database. Okay, all of these options are here. So now you go to get data. We have these common data sources. So data is Power BI data sets or data flows or from SQL Server or from the web, or it's a text or CSV. You'll be able to connect to them using any of these connectors. But here, the data that we are working with is Excel workbook. So I'm going to pick Excel workbook. And here, this is the data that we want to analyze, hotel booking. So what I'm going to do is to select this and click open. So here, this will send me to the navigator window. So here I'll be able to see all the tables or all the sheets that are in the workbook. So based on what we looked at, the preview of the data, you realize that we're having just one sheet, okay? And that's the order database. So I can select this and I'll be able to take a preview of the data first. So as I showed you, we have the booking ID, the date, the year, the time. So you can see that here is the same data that we are working with. So after you have ascertained the data that you want to work with, you can just check the box. Now here we have three options. You can cancel, and that's when you are not interested in the data again. Or you can decide to load it. Now loading it means that you want to put the data or import the data straight into Power BI. Or you can also pick transform data. So the transform data is where you'll be able to clean and shape the data. So as a data analyst, the data that you are working with may not be in the format that you can work with. So first you have to shape it, you have to transform it, you have to clean it before you can work with it. Okay, so always I tell my students, use transform data, even if the data that you are working with is accurate. Just go to transform data and take a look at the data critically before you put it into Power BI. So I'm going to click on transform data. So now we have the data within Power Query Editor. So this is what we call the Power Query Editor. So what it means is that now the data is not yet in Power BI. We have it within the Power Query Editor. Now what do we use the Power Query Editor to do? We use it in cleaning and transforming our data. So within this window, if there's any particular column which is irrelevant to the analysis that we want to do, we can just select the column, right click, and then remove the column. Now the column is going to be removed. Now one thing is that every transformation that you do, everything that you do here is being recorded at apply steps. So you realize that the last thing I did here is to remove column. So it has been able to record it here. So if I want to reverse what I did right now, I just have to come in here. This step, I just have to delete it. Now you can see that the column has been restored. So here we can do a whole lot of things with this data. So first, let's take a look at each of the columns and then check if they have the right data type. So here for each of the columns, they are going to have one data type. So if you take a look at this booking ID, you see that we have this ABC in front of it or preceding the name. What this means is that this column here is classified as a text. If you take a look at the date of booking, you see that we have this calendar icon, meaning that this is a date. The year column here, you see that we have 1, 2, 3, meaning that this is a whole number. So if you want to change the names of the columns, so if you want to change the data type of each of the columns, you just select, come to the column, you click on this icon. Now you'll be able to see all the data types that we have in Power Query. So here, if I want to change the data type, I just select the right data type. Now everything is going to change and you have the right data type. So always make sure you check the data type for each of your columns. So if you take a look at this, this is time. So when you click on this, you see that we have this time or a clock here, showing that this column here is having a time data type. When you come to the customer ID, we have ABC. This is a text. This is correct. You also have the customer gender, which is ABC, and it's also seen as a text. Then we have the age here, which is also formatted as a whole number. Then we have origin country. So here you'll be able to see the countries here. So you can see that all these are text. So we are having ABC as the data type. The same applies to the state, the location, destination country, and then the number of people. This is also seen as a whole number. This is also a date. Number of days is whole number. And then for each of them, you can see that we are having the right data type. But some point in time, based on the data that you'll be working with, you can see that some of the data types may not fit the content of the column. So here, if you want to change it, you just click here and then you'll be able to see all the data types. So what you need to do is to pick the one that applies to the column that you are working with. So since the data is already clean, we are not going to spend more time here. I'll go ahead and load this into Power BI and then we can start analyzing it. So to load it, what I will do is to go to the Home tab, and here we have this close and apply. So when you use this option, this Power Query window is going to close and the data will be loaded into Power BI. So what I will do is to click on close and apply. And now we have the data in Power BI. Now, how would you know if you have the data in Power BI? Now, when you check the right side here, the false pane, you can see that we have the order database as a table. So with this, I can expand this to be able to see all the columns that we have in the table. But here you can take a look at the data itself. So if you take a look at your left side, we have all the views. So within Power BI, we have 3 views. We have the report view, the data view, and then the model view. So the report view is where you'll be able to create your report and your dashboard. The data view is where you'll be able to take a look at the data itself. So let's click on data view. And here you see that we have the data here. So you'll be able to look at each of the columns and what is inside or the content of each of the columns. So here we have our booking ID, the date, the year, the time, the customer ID, and then everything. And then at the model view, this is where you'll be able to take a look at the table in the form of a diagram. So here we just have one table, but in cases where you are working with multiple tables, you'll be able to see all the tables here. And here you'll be able to model your data by creating relationships among your tables. But here we are just working with one table. So you're not going to build any relationship to any other table. But if you have multiple tables, you'll be able to create your relationships and then do your data modeling here. Now let's go back to the report view and then we can start analyzing our data. So here, if you take a look at this, we have the booking ID and we also have the customer ID and then the rating. So what we want to do is that we are going to write a measure or perform analysis on the booking ID. So we want to count the total booking ID and then also count the total customers and then also look at our average rating and then also look at the booking price. And these are the things that we are going to analyze in this demo. So what I will do is I will go to my report view. Now I want to create a measure or a calculation. Now on the home tab, you see that we have calculations. We have quick measure and then new measure. So here we want to create a new measure, which is going to count the number of bookings that we have received on our platform over the years. So what I will do is to go to new measure. Now what I need to do is to give the name of the measure or the calculation. So here I'm going to call this total booking. Now what formula are we using? Here we want to count the entries in the booking ID column. So I'll just type count. And now we need to provide a column. Now to provide a column, we need a table name and the name of the column. But here we are just working with one table and the name of the table is order database. So you can see that we have order database, open square brackets. Now what is inside the bracket is the name of the column. So here we want to count the booking ID column. So I just have to look for booking ID and this is the booking ID. So I just click on it and then close the bracket. What this is going to do is that it's going to count all the entries that we have within the booking ID. So I'm going to press enter. And now if you take a look at the fields within our order database, you can see that we have total booking. Now if I drag this onto the canvas here, you can see that we have some amount here. Let's change this into a card. And now you see that we have 67K or 67,000. So this is our total booking that we have received. Now let's go ahead and count our customers by counting the customer ID column. So the same way, I'll go to new measure and then name this total customers. And this will be equal to distinct count. So here we might have some customers who have done multiple booking. Now because of this, if you decide to count the entire column, we might have some duplicates. For example, you might have customers who have used the platform for several times. In that case, we are going to count those customers multiple times, which is going to inflate our total customers figure. So here we have to use distinct count to count the distinct items, the unique items. So what this means is that if we have duplicate, they are going to be counted once. So I'm going to use distinct count here. Now what do we need to do? We need to provide the column that we want to count. Here we want to count the customer ID column. So I'm going to select this and close the bracket and then press enter. And now we have our total customers here. So with this, you see that we have measure tools and then the measure is here. So here I can format it with comma separators. Okay. So when you use it in building the report, you'll be able to read the numbers correctly. So make sure when you write your measures, you format them properly. So here we have our total customers. I can drag it here. And now this also gives us our total customers, but here it's using a column chart. We want to change it into a card, which is one of the visualizations that we have in Power BI. And this also gives us 67,000. Now let's go ahead and determine our average user rating. So if you take a look at this, each of the hotels, we have user rating that were given by the customers who booked those hotels. So you see that some are having 4.2 and the rest. Here we can't sum, we can't count. We want to find the average user rating so that at any point in time, and we want to see which of the hotels are really customer focused, you'll be able to identify those hotels. So I'll go to my report view, create new measure, and then we are going to call this average rating. And this will be equal to average. Okay, so just like the Excel functions that we know, it works the same way. Now, what column do you want to find the average of? we want to find the average of our user or hotel rating. So I'll select this and then close the bracket, press enter. And now if I drag this onto the canvas or the report, we have this. So if you put this onto a card, it means that averagely all the hotels put together, this is the average rating that we are receiving here. Now let's take a look at our demo dashboard and see some of the things that we also need to calculate here. So I'll go to our demo dashboard, and now we also have total customer and then total booking amount. So what I will do is to go back to this and then determine our total booking that we have received. So I'll go to new measure, then total booking amount, and this will be equal to sum. So here we are summing the booking amount column. So I'll pick sum. Now what column do you want to sum? I just look through and then identify or select the column. Now the column we want to find the sum of is the booking amount or the total booking. So this is what we have, the booking price. This is what we want to sum, so that for each of the locations or the hotels or the dimensions that we have, we can slice and dice the data by the booking price. So I'm going to close this and then press enter. Now I also have to make sure this is formatted properly. So I'm going to apply a comma separator to this. Now we have this here. So what I will do is to drag it onto the canvas to test it. So that's what you need to be doing. When you write the measures, make sure you test them, make sure they are working before you start even building the report. Okay. So I'll select this and change this onto a card. And now this is the figure that we have for our total booking amount. Now we can go ahead. These are the 4 calculations that we are going to use. Now we can go ahead and slice and dice our data using these 4 KPIs or calculations. So first, let's take a look at the sample file. Now the first thing that we are going to work on is the background that we are using here. You can see that the background is having some designs. This is not by default. Okay. You can design your own background that you want to use in building your dashboard or your reports. So here what I will do is to come here and then clear everything off. Okay. Now the background that you are seeing in the demo file, I developed everything in PowerPoint. So I'm going to show you the PowerPoint file. I'm going to also make sure that you guys have access to the PowerPoint file. Then you can also design a similar dashboard. So let's go through this folder here. Now you see that we have this hotel background, and if you take a look at this background was developed in PowerPoint. So I'm going to double click to open it. And now we have it here. So this is the dashboard, or this is the background that we are using for the dashboard. And if you take a look at this, all these are shapes, okay, that I inserted within PowerPoint. So to do this, you just go to insert. We have shapes. Then you pick the shape that you want to use. So maybe I want to do something like this. I just drag to resize it, and then maybe resize the corners, then put it here. If I also want to change the color, I go to shape format, then the shape fill. I just change the color and pick the color I want to use. So maybe this is the color I want to use. I just pick the color. See that this is having a border. If you want to maintain the border, that's fine. But if you want to remove it, just like what I have done here, you can also select the shape, go to shape outline and say no outline. You can see that the border is gone. So it's the same thing that I did, and I was able to come up with this. Now after you have done the design within PowerPoint, what you need to do is to save it as an image and then import it into Power BI. So what I'm going to do is to use Ctrl A to select all the shapes together, then right click. Let me do it again. Right click and then pick save as picture. So I'm going to click on that and I'm going to save it here. So I'll click save. And now this has been saved as a picture. Now let's see how we can utilize this within Power BI. So when you come to Power BI, on the empty canvas here, on the visualizations, below the visualizations, you see that we have values, and then here we have format. So when you go to format, we have the page size and then the page background. I'm going to click on the page background to expand it. And here you see that you can format the background with a color. By default, it's white. So if I want to use a different color, I just pick the color here. See that nothing happens. because here we have the transparency set to 100%. But if you make it 0 or drag this, you see that now the background has become black, just like the color that we have selected here. If I want to change this to maybe this color, see that we are having these colors as the background. But I'm not going to use any of these colors. I'm actually going to use image. So here you see that we have add image. So I'm going to click on add image. And this is our image. So I'll select this and click open. And now we have it here. But you can see that this doesn't look good. So here we have the image fit. This is set to normal by default. I'm going to change it and pick fit. And now this fits perfectly on the canvas. So what I will do is to collapse this and then also collapse this, and now you see that we have it here. Now we are going to start putting the dashboard together. I'm sure you guys are excited to start putting the dashboard together. So now let's take a second look at our demo dashboard. So here we have total booking, and then the booking amount, the average rating, and then the total customers. So that's the first thing that we are going to do here. So remember, we already have calculations which are showing these metrics or KPIs. So I'll go back to this and then start putting the dashboard together. So the first thing is to determine the total booking. So to do this, you can go to the fields and then select this table to expand it and then look for the total booking. So I'm going to check this. Now by default, you see that this has been put onto a clustered column chart. This is not what we want to use. We want to use a card visual. So when it comes to the visualizations, you can click on the card. And now you see that this has turned this into a card. So you can resize this, drag it, and bring it here. The next thing I will do is to format this card. So when this card is activated, on the visualizations pane below this, you see that we have the fields. So the field, we are using total booking to populate this card. We also have this second pane, which is the format. So you can use this to format your card to make sure you're having the right visual on your dashboard. So here the first thing I'm going to do is to turn off the background. I don't want this white background. So I'm going to turn off the background. Now you see that this is transparent, so I can move it around. Now the next thing I will do is to resize this nicely and bring it here. Now you can see that this is 67K. I want to see all the figures. I don't want this display unit. So I'll go to data labels, and then you see that we have display units. This is set to auto. I'll change it and pick none, and this will show me the raw figure. Now you can see that this measure wasn't formatted properly. First, let's change the color by going to the data label. See that the color is black. We are going to change this to white. And now this is white here. The next thing I will do is to change the font style. So I'll go to the font family, still under the data label, and change this and pick Sego Bold. Now let's apply comma separators to this measure. So I'll come to the fields and select this measure. Remember this measure that we calculated where we counted the order or the booking ID column. I'm going to apply commas to this. Now this looks good. The next thing I will do is to reduce the size a bit. So instead of 40, let's make it 35. Now this looks good. So I'm going to place it here, resize it again, and bring it here. Now you see this label here. Let's also format it. So I'll go to category label. And here the color, you see that this is gray. Let's make it white as well. Now this is here. So anyone who is looking at this figure knows that this is our total booking. Now let's do this quickly for our total customers. Here, you can also go through the same process to come up with our total customers, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to duplicate this, and then when I go to the field, I change it. Instead of showing the total booking, it will show me the total customers. So what I will do is to select this, Ctrl C to copy, Ctrl V to paste. I will drag it to the side and then look for my total customers measure and then put it in here. So instead of this showing total booking, it will show me the total customers. And here, remember, the same thing, or the total booking and total customers are the same. Now the next thing I will do is to, let me look at the demo file, is to look at our booking amount. So what I will do is to look for our booking amount. So here, remember, we have our booking amount. The same way, I'm going to duplicate this, Control C, Control V to paste, and we are going to use this for our total booking amount. So what I need to do is to locate where my total booking amount is, and then drag and drop it here. And now this is showing the total booking amount. Now you can see that this figure is very huge, so this is not fitting properly on the card. So in this case, we can apply display unit that will shorten the whole of this, and then add either thousands or millions. So let's select this, go to Format, Data Labels, and here the display unit, I'm going to change it and pick thousands. And now this has added K to this. So this is showing 14,242K, meaning that we are looking at 14 million or 14.2. If you also want to format it in millions, we can pick millions, and this will show us 14 million. So here you can see that the label is not fitting properly. So you can actually change the name. Instead of total booking amount, let's make it just booking amount. I press enter, and now still our T is there. So I'll just do this, and now we have the booking amount. The next thing is to determine our average rating. Remember, we have our average rating measure. So I'll just duplicate this and then paste it here, and then drag the average rating onto the fields. And now this is showing the average rating. But here you can see that it's 0.00 M, because the average rating is not up to millions or million. So what I will do is to click here, data label, display unit, I'll pick none, and now this is showing 4.29 as the average rating firm-wide for all the hotels put together. This is our average rating. Now let's keep on analyzing the data. So let's go back to our demo file, and here we are looking at our destination, top destination for customers. Where are customers traveling to? Okay, so the top destination by customers or for customers. So here, I'm not going to go through the manual way. What we could have done is come here, the destination countries are here. So I'll just select destination countries, and then the total customers here. And then I can put this onto any of these visuals. So I can pick either a column chart, and now for each of the countries, all the destination countries, you'll be able to see the total number of customers that are visiting that particular country. But here, I'm not going to do this manually. I'm going to use one of the visuals that we have in Power BI. We call it Q&A. Q&A uses AI and machine learning to help you to understand your data or query your data by asking natural language questions. So you can just use simple questions like, what's our total customers? What's our total booking? What's our total booking amount? What's our average rating? And it's going to analyze your data and bring out those insights. So here you just use natural language, simple English, and you'll be able to get results in the form of visualizations, which you can use to quickly build your dashboard. So here, I'm just going to come to the visualizations so that we have Q&A. So I'm going to click on this. And with this, you can ask any question about the data and you'll be able to get the insight. For example, I can say, show total customers. And now you see that we have this tip here. So I just click on it, and you see that it has given us 67 million. If I want to say, show total booking, to go ahead and show me my total booking, show total booking, it will go ahead and show me my total booking. If I say show average rating, to show me the average rating, and you can see that these figures are the same as the ones that we are having here, which we created manually. Okay, so here what I want to do is that I want it to show me the top 10 destinations by customers. So it means that it's going to rank the destination countries by the total customers and bring out the top 10. So I'll just say show top 10 destination countries or destination country by total customer or by total customers. And now this has gone through the data and it has come up with the top 10 destination countries based on the total customers. So here is still Q&A. If I want to make it like one of the visuals here, you see that we have this icon here. I just click on it to turn it into a standard visualization. So I'm going to click on this. Now this gives me a bar chart. So I can just bring it here and then resize it nicely here. And here I can also format this. So I'll just go to the format pane, go to the x-axis. You see that we have the title here. I don't want to see the title, okay? So I'll turn off the title. You see that the title is gone. So we can have enough space to show the visual. The same way, I'll go to my y-axis. It's also having this title, destination country. I want to turn it off. So I'll come to title and I turn it off. And now we have this. Now the next thing we want to do is to turn on the data label so that for each of the countries, you'll be able to see the total customers, okay? So I'll come to my format, the format pane, and then come to data labels. You see that this has been turned off. I'll turn it on. And now for each of them, we have this. You can see that the figures are almost the same, but they are not the same actually. If you go to display unit and you say none, you can see that they are different, but just that approximately, if you are looking at it in terms of thousands, they are almost, or they are the same thing. But here they are different figures. So we are not going to use any display unit. We are going to just have this. The next thing I will do is to turn off the background. And now we have this here. I'll format my title. Okay, so I'll select this, go to format, title. I'm going to expand this. And you see that we have total customers by destination. We want to make it top 10 destination countries by customers. So I will say top 10 destination and then press enter. Now the next thing is to format this. So the size, I want to make it 12. And then the font family, we are changing it. So let's pick this Sego UI. And now we have this here. Maybe Sego board will do. So let's pick Sego board. And now that the size, let's make it 10 instead of 12. And now we have it here. We can also change the color, okay? You can also change the color. So let me pick something like this for my color. And now we have this here. The top 10 destination countries. Now the next thing I will do is to change the color of the series or the bars. So I want it to have these colors, okay? So if you take a look at the PowerPoint that I sent, here I have the color codes for each of these colors. So here, this color here, this is the color code. So what I can do is to copy this, okay? Then I'll go to Power BI. I'll select this, go to format, then go to data colors. So I'm going to expand this, and the default color, I'm going to change it and then use this color that I copied, or to make everything automatic and then to save time, I can go to the view tab and you see that we have color themes here. I can click on this to expand it and then go to customize the current theme. So I want to customize it so that when I hit dashboard or my visuals, it will come with the same color that we want to use. So I'll go to customize themes. And here, when you go to customize name and colors, you see that we have the theme colors. We have color 1, color 2. So for color 1, you see that this one is using this blue. Let's change it and use the color code of the one that we copied. So here I just paste the color code and click apply and then apply. So now you see that this has changed. If I create a new visual, it's going to come up with this color. Okay, so I'm going to have this here. The next thing I will do is to turn off these labels or these X. The next thing I will do is to turn off the X-axis. The next thing I will do is to turn off the X-axis. So I'll go to X, and here I can turn it off so I can have enough space to show my visual because we already have the data labels. Okay, so you can turn it off so that immediately look at this. Is that this is the total customers for each of the countries. Now let's go ahead and determine our top 10 origin country by customers. So here, the same way, I can use the Q&A and say top 10 10 origin countries. Top 10 origin countries by total customers. Now this has given it to us. So what we can do is to transform this into a standard visual. And now we have it here. But if you take a look at this, this is not up to 10 because the total or the number of destination countries are not up to 10. So we have all of them, but we'll be able to see how many customers are coming from each of these countries. So let me resize this and then place it here nicely. Now to replicate the formatting that we have done to this already, I can select this and then on the home tab, I can use the format painter. What this means is that we want to copy the formatting that we have applied to this visual onto this next visual that we have here to save us time. So I'll select this, use the format painter to copy the formatting. Now you can see that this is having this brush here. So you can click on this to apply it to this. And you can see that it's having the same formatting as the formatting that we apply to this. So these are some of the techniques that you can use to come up with dashboard quickly, because in the corporate environment we don't have time, we don't have all the time to do all these things. So you have to find a way you can speed up your data analysis and data visualization. Okay, and these are some of the things that you can apply when you are designing your dashboard. Now let's take a look at our sample dashboard. So we also have this total booking by year. So for each of the years we want to see our total booking. Is it trending upwards or is trending downwards? The same way you can also use Q&A to do this. So I just come to my visuals, pick my Q&A, and I will say total booking by year. Total booking by year. Now you can see that we have this line chart here showing us the trend. So I can convert this into a standard visualization and then resize it this way. And now this is giving us the trend for our total booking. So you can see that it's trending upwards. I can select this and then go to format, and here the title, we can also customize it just like what we saw in this with this visual here. So here we are saying total booking by year. That's fine. And then the size, we can also make it 10 and then change the font family and use the font that we are using. And then maybe the color, I change it and pick this. Now this is looking great. The next thing we are going to do is to turn off this title. So I'll select this, go to format, Y, and then turn off the title on the Y axis. Now we have this. Now the next thing we are going to do is to add our trend line to show us the trend. Is it going up? Is it trending downwards? Or is being static or stable? So here I can select this. Now you see that we have the third option here, which is analytics. Now this depends on the visual. If you are using this visual, you come to analytics, you see that we have some options that you can apply. When it comes to line chart, you come here, you see that we have different options that we can also apply. So here you see that we have trend line. We are going to add a trend line. So I'll go to trend line and click add. And now you see that we have a trend line here. Okay. So now let me click outside, and now we have our total booking by year. What we are going to do is to do our total customers by year. Is our customers going up or are they going down? So the same way, I'll use the Q&A and say total customers by year. And now you see that we also have this trend line or this line chart. So let's convert this into a standard visualization and then bring it here. And let's copy the formatting on this. So copy format or format painter, and we apply it on this. Then we can resize this nicely here. I will select this again, go to analytics, trend, and then add our trend line. So you see that this is also trending upwards. Now let's look at our demo file or dashboard and see what is left. So now we are left with this, where we are looking at hotel names, the booking that they have received, the booking amount, and the average rating. So what I will do is to come here and then insert a table. Now with this table, we want to add the hotel names. So when you come here, you see that we have hotel names. So I'll add my hotel name. And also for each of the hotels, we want to see their total booking. So I'll also select the booking and add it here. Then we also want to see their booking amount. So I also select the booking amount and then drop it here. Then we also want to see the average rating, the user rating that they have received, the average. So we also have our average rating measure. We just drop it here. And now we have it here. So now what I will do is to bring this one here. And then resize this nicely here. But here we are not interested in all the hotels. What we want to do is to look at the top 10 hotels by the total booking. Top 10 hotels by total booking. So what we can do is to select this. And then you see that we have this filters pane, which has been collapsed all this while. We can click here to expand it. And now when you come here, you see that the fields that we have used to build this visual, all the fields are here. So here I can expand the total booking or expand the hotel name. So here I want to filter the hotel names to show just the top 10 hotels by the total booking. So I can click on this to expand it. And now here we have filter type. So there are three main filter types. We have advanced, basic, and then top N. So we want this to show us the top 10. So I'll pick the top N. And now it says showing items, top. Then here we can enter the number we are interested in. We are interested in the top 10. So I'll just bring in 10. By what? By total booking. So the by value, I'll just drag my total booking and then drop it here. It could be by anything, by maybe by total customers, by the total booking amount, or even by average rating. But here we want to do it by total booking. So after you have added this, you don't see anything. It's still showing all the hotels. What you need to do is click on apply filter. And now this has been filtered to show just the top 10 hotels by their total booking. So it means that these are the highest hotels that we have based on the bookings that they have received. Now with this, I can click on the header to sort it. And now you can see that this is the hotel which has received so many booking, or the highest booking, followed by this in the same order here. So with this done, I'm going to collapse the filter pane, and now we have it here. The next thing I will do is to turn off the background. Now we have it here. Then I'm going to resize this. Okay, the booking amount is too long, so you can come to the fields and then we can double click and then take off the total. Then press enter, and now everything is fitting properly. So let's resize this. Let's bring it here. Now this needs a title. Okay, so let's add a title to this. So I'll select this, come to the format pane, go to the title. You see that it's turned off. I'm going to turn it on and then expand it. Here the title, we don't have anything here, so I'll say top 10 hotels by total booking. So here we can also format this 10, and then the font family, I'll pick Sego, and then also change the color, the font color. I'll pick this color that we are using to ensure that we are maintaining or having consistency across all the visuals. So it is done. I'm going to click outside, and you see that this looks great. I'll select this again. You see the color here, this blue grid color. Let's use the color that we are using here. So I'll come to format. You see that we have the grid, and the color is showing is blue. Let's change it and use the color that we are using here. Now this looks okay. Now let's look at our demo dashboard, and now we have this here where we are looking at the customers by gender. So here I'll go ahead and then insert a donor chart or maybe a pie chart. You can pick any of them. So I'll pick this and bring it here. Or I can equally use Q&A to build this. Okay, so here when it comes to the legend, we want to break it down by gender. So I'll bring in my gender here. And then the values, we are using total customers. So we want to break down our total customers by gender. So I'll drop it here, and now you see that we have this here. So I can resize this nicely. So let's customize this. First, let's work on the title. So I'm going to change the font family to this, and also change the color and pick what we are using. And then the size, we make it 10. And this looks nice. The next thing is to add the gender. So if this one is for females, I want the gender to be part of the details here. I don't want it to have a legend where they will look at the color and try to match it. I want it to be on that particular section itself. So I'll select this with a format. You see that we have detail labels. I'll expand this, and the label style, you see that this is the data value and then the percentage. I will change it from data value and say category and the percentage of the total. So I'll pick this, and now you see that this is female and it's giving us 50.18. This is male and it's giving us 49.82. That's how I want this to be displayed. Now, because we already have this, we don't need the legend. So I can turn off the legend so I can have enough space to show this. Now, if you take a look at this, we are almost through with the dashboard. So what I would do is to come here and then populate it with the slices, which we are going to use to slice and filter this dashboard. So here I want a slicer which is going to give us the year. So what I would do is to come here, look for the year column, and then check it. And now you see that this is giving us a column chart. Let's change it and pick a slicer. So I just make sure that this is activated. Then I pick on slicer. And now this has been converted into a slicer. I'll bring it here, resize it nicely. Now we have it here. The next thing is to turn off the background. So I'll turn off the background. And then also the slider, this slider, let's also change the slider, okay, the color. So I'll go to slider, the color. I want us to use the color that we are using. Now we have it here. You see that the labels are missing. So let's go to numeric input, and the color, let's make it white. And then also go to the slicer header, and then also the color, we make it white. And now everything is working perfectly. Now let's work on the other slices. So here we have destination, country, payment mode, origin, and all these ones. So let's quickly come up with the slices which we can use to slice and dice our data. So first we need a slicer for the gender, okay? So you can filter the data by gender. Convert this into a slicer, and then maybe copy the formatting here. I'll copy the formatting and apply it to this. Now this looks great. Let me clear off the filters. So you have this here. Now the items, the color, you see that it's not standing out. Let's make the color white. Now everything looks okay. Then the slider title, the font, let's also change it and use the font that we are using. And then maybe probably reduce the size a bit. So we have this here. Then you can copy and paste. Now I'll drag it here. So instead of showing the gender, I want it to show the origin countries. So I'll drag the origin countries and drop it here and get rid of the gender. And now we have it here. This is showing all of them. Let's use this drop down and then make it a drop down instead of a list. Yes. So now if they want to filter, they just click on this and they'll be able to filter. Now you can see that the values are not actually standing out because the background is also white. So let's select this, go to format, and here I'll go to items. You see that the background is also white, the font color is also white. So let's make the background maybe this color. Okay, so now when you click on this, you'll be able to see the items clearly. Now let's do that. Let's copy and then paste and then do it for destination countries. So I'll come in here, look for my destination country, and then drop it here, and then cancel or remove the origin. So this will show only the destination country. Resize it. Let's come up with the next slicer, which is also going to be by payment mode. So if you want to filter by payment mode, you can also filter by payment mode. So we have it here. So I'm going to resize this. And then let's come up with the last slicer, which is going to be by destination city. So I'm going to copy and paste this and then drag and drop my destination city onto the field and remove the payment mode. Now everything looks perfect. Now you can see that the arrangement is not in the same line. Okay, so what we can do is to select all the slices. So I just drag this over all the slices. Okay, and I'll go to format, and here you see we have alignment. I'll click on alignment and say align left. So I'll pick this, and now you can see that everything has been aligned rightly. Okay, now let's look at our sample dashboard and look at other things that we can work on. So look at our sample dashboard here. We are almost through. We are left with this smart narrative here. Okay, so this is giving us a summary of what is going on within the dashboard. So now what we are left with is the smart narrative, which is one of the AI visualizations that we have in Power BI. So what it does is that it helps to provide summary of what is going on within your dashboard or within a particular visual. So here, when you come to the visualizations, you see that we have this here. We call it smart narrative. What it does is that it summarizes all the key insights from your dashboard into a very simple summary, which you can add it to provide additional information. So here what I will do is to click on smart narrative, and now you see that this is analyzing my data and coming up with some insight. So this is the insight that it has been able to come up with. It says 2019 accounted for 15.39% of the total booking. So for the entire booking that we recorded, 2019 accounted for 15.39% of it. With this, when you are looking at the data itself, you'll not be able to see this insight. By using the smart narrative, we have been able to get this insight. So what I can do is to just select this and I bring it here, and then I'm going to resize this nicely. Then I'll turn off the background. Now we have this here. So when our users are viewing our dashboard, they can quickly scroll through this smart narrative to see the key insight that we can get from this dashboard. So here it says that 2019 had the highest total booking and was 78.96 higher than the performance that we recorded in 2011, which had the lowest booking of 5,309. These are some of the key insights that we are getting from this dashboard. Now, the next thing we want is that we want our users to be able to also get a summary from this visual. Okay, so here we're also going to use the smart narrative. So what I will do is to just right click on this visual. Now you see summarize. So it's going to use AI and machine learning to summarize the key insight from this chart. So I'll pick summarize. And now this is giving us this summary. So what we can do is that we just resize it and we drag it and then we position it here nicely, okay, to provide additional insight to our users. So I'll turn off the background, and now we also have this here, which we can also add it to our dashboard to provide additional information. We're also going to do same for the total customers. Right click and pick summarize. Now this will also summarize our data. It says across all the 9 years, total customers range from 5,309 to 9,501. In 2019, we had the highest total customers, which was 78. And you can add all these insights to your dashboard. So I'm going to bring this one here and then resize it nicely here, and also turn off the background. Now we also have this here. Now if you take a look at our sample dashboard, we are through with the dashboard designing. So now we have been able to come up with this powerful dashboard. The next is you can add a logo to this. So because I developed this for Firstman, we can add the Firstman logo, or you can add any image that you can add to this. Better still, we can also move this up to take up the space that we have here, so everything will be in sync. So I just bring this one here up, and now everything looks perfect. So this is how you'll be able to develop interactive and amazing dashboard using Power BI. So thank you guys for watching. If you want to get in touch with me, You can search for Thomas Festus Cudjoe on LinkedIn. I'm also on Twitter, Facebook, and all the social media platforms. You can also visit hub.festman.io to see what we are doing at Festman. So thank you so much for watching. And if you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask your questions.